All right, looks like we are underway for game number 3, Polar versus owmygrown on MLG Xel Naga Caverns. And I am so excited to watch this game number 3, considering the first 2 games have been nothing short of epic games.
Okay. Go and take over.
All right, so over here we have Polar as the green Terran in the bottom left corner. And the top right, we have owmygrown, previous winner, yellow Zerg. And of course, both players probably a little bit more fatigued after that really long game. So, of course, it'll be a matter of endurance, especially since we pretty much saw everything from the tech tree from Zerg. They pretty much busted out every single thing from Zerglings, Roaches, Banelings to Tier 3. 688. And of course, on Xel Naga Caverns, it does have a pretty wide open natural. You do have these 2 pathways you can get to, so there's a lot of ways for assaults. You can also even go through this backdoor secret hallway, as some way we call it. Or the John's Common Knowledge Hallway. And as a result, because it's so open, a lot of times aggression is really easy, especially for Zerg if they choose to go for hatchery first. It'll be interesting to see if owmygrown chooses to go hatchery first yet again for this map.
Yep, and I think again, excuse me, hold on.
No problem. And of course, it'll be interesting to see again what Polar chooses to do as well. He hasn't opened up 2 barracks yet, which is one of the most powerful builds. Instead, it looks like Polar's going to wait here at the bottom, or at the middle, rather, of the natural, just to see if he can delay that hatchery as long as possible.
Yep. So, a reason why Zerg might be wary of a hatchery first is something exactly like this. I think that's an engineering bait at the natural expansion, and that's just going to get super annoying for owmygrown. He is throwing up a pull right away, which is a smart thing to do to get rid of that engineering bay, but Polar doing anything he can to deny that natural expansion advantage.
Right, and of course, Polar can just open up standard as well, getting up his barracks, getting up his refinery, doing very, very standard things. And of course, owmygrown, I don't believe he's scouted him yet whatsoever, so he's still waiting to see what Polar has to offer. And at the same time, it's really important because at this point on the map, like Xel Naga Caverns, where a lot of cheese can happen, especially on a 2-player map, he wants to be careful of all kinds of options.
Exactly. So owmygrown sneaking his drone in there, the Marine just missing it, and he's going to be able to scout what's going on here. Nothing too strange, so owmygrown can kind of breathe a quick sigh of relief. No all-ins yet, but...
Oh, but he does reveal a second gas to owmygrown, so that could be indicative of heavy teching that Polar wants to do. But at this point, though, Polar could be really sneaky and cancel it, which he does. So he does it. I mean, I was wondering why he deliberately showed it to the drone. So that's actually so tricky. And instead, he might go for a fast expansion while owmygrown completely prepares for some kind of tech build.
My mind is warped in all forms of metagame right now. That was a very great strategical move, mind game from Polar. Knows he needs to take any advantage he can get. Again, it is the 3rd game. owmygrown still has not expanded, choosing to do so right now, and sending out a few Zerglings to scout. Getting a Roach Warren, very interesting. I think he's maybe expecting some Hellion harass again.
Perhaps. I mean, Hellions, of course, very, very good because of that open natural. Hellions can pretty much slip in on the left, poke in the right, and then escape from the back. So pretty much the Hellions are the most annoying unit in this matchup for Zergs to deal with in the early game. But owmygrown is going to go back and scout. He's going to see a factory as well and a reactor, so he's going to just confirm his suspicions. But at the same time, though, what he doesn't see is that a command center is building right here, so Polar doing a really good job of just playing sneaky.
Yeah, exactly. Polar is just trying to mind game as much as he can against owmygrown right now, and I think that's exactly what he needs to get his advantage in the 3rd game right now. And if we take a look at owmygrown's base, he is starting his lair right now. He hasn't gotten a second gas just yet, so maybe he might be going for a very roach-heavy kind of build. I have no idea why he would... taking second gas right now, but I don't know what he's really expecting of roaches. Probably just really wants to be extremely ready for any Hellion harass.
Right. I think right now, owmygrown's timing is a little bit... Or his sense of timing right now is a little bit off because he figures, well, Terran should be harassing right about now.
Yeah.
Or like in the next 30 seconds, but he doesn't see anything. And instead, he's going to be surprised that Terran's expanding. He's even making units when he doesn't really need to.
Exactly.
And that's exactly. It looks like we're going to get a pause request. Not really sure.
Another mind game trick? No.
Yeah, he's actually writing down all the things he wants to do in the game. Like, oh, okay, this worked. this did him.
He dropped his recipe. He's like, oh crap, my all-in recipe. I need my other one right now.
Right. Okay. So Tim, right now, if you're a Zerg player in this position, what do you feel like owmygrown pretty much? What should he do at this point?
Well, if I scouted 2 gas like that, I would definitely expect something really insane coming at me, like just either some kind of Marauder or Banshee or some all-in-ish kind of thing, and just prepare the heck out of it. But at this point, I think owmygrown's kind of thinking, not maybe as extreme, but he's like, I need to prepare for any push right now. So he's kind of sacrificing his drone production, which I think is what Polar wants him to do at this point. So showing that second gas actually put him economically ahead in the long run. He is going to, he still has not scouted the command center.
No, but he does see triple reactor on Polar, so I think it's safe to say Polar wants Marines. Here comes a little bit of Hellion harass, though. The Roaches trying to do a little bit of defending, but Polar getting a couple kills, 1 kills, 2 kills, not really doing too much, but owmygrown still realizing he needs to drone back up because he hasn't droned that much compared to, he's even behind right now in SEVs compared to that of Polar.
Yep, exactly. So he did manage to fend off the Hellion harass he kind of was expecting. So Polar kind of giving a taste of like the false truth or whatever you want to call it. But it looks like he did build a Baneling nest, but no spires. So Roach Baneling,
yeah, very, very strong composition against things like Marines and Hellions. Very, very good and sturdy. But at the same time, looks like owmygrown still losing a lot of map control to these Hellions. His Overlord, his Overlord did still not seen the expansion, which is actually kind of questionable. But I think right now at this point he doesn't want to lose that Overlord. Probably wants to save it for an appropriate time.
Yeah. So if we take a look back at Polar's base, he is just establishing his. Excuse me. Oh, those Zerglings just died. But he is. Why did he lift off that reactor there?
Yeah, well, I mean, right now he wanted to make a tech lab.
Tech lab. I didn't see that. Okay.
Then, switch over.
Not seeing things. Okay, so yeah, he is getting a very marine-heavy composition right now. I have no idea what his game plan is right now, but again, I'm pretty bad. But owmygrown getting a Spire right now, getting... Oh, excuse me.
All right, he's getting a Spire right now, getting up more gases, because of course you need to support, and of course... our hearts are with Tim right now. He's coughing out his right lung, but don't worry, you can always talk with one other lung. And at this point, it looks like Polar just being really defensive, getting siege mode and tanks, very, very staple for this matchup. Looks like at this point, owmygrown still wants to scout a little bit more of the composition, but Polar doing a good job. He still hasn't revealed to owmygrown that he has tanks yet. Instead, just showing Marine Hellion, which is probably explains why the Roach Baneling for now.
Did he reveal expansion yet either?
Well, I think right now owmygrown can kind of suspect that, he did see, so he should know. And I mean, at this point, if he hasn't concluded, otherwise this is a really late one-base play.
All in, yeah. But I'm to be completely honest, I'm kind of thrown off as well of what Polar's long-term game plan is. I think he just wanted to trick out owmygrown about whether he was going to expand or not. But by now that that advantage is kind of weared off, and owmygrown is just going to try to macro up to. After he fell behind, he wants to catch up against that natural expansion from Polar.
Yeah, and right now it looks like owmygrown just getting more meterless, getting Baneling speed, just overall doing the very necessary things of making sure mid-game ZVT you can be really safe. At the same time, Polar again going for a lot of mech units. This is, I guess, his style. He's going for Marines, though, this time, because I think he wants to deal with Mulus a little bit better. And I'm still surprised that he still hasn't thrown down a starport yet to get any kind of medevacs or anything really to tech up to there.
Yeah, Polar making a very interesting composition to deal with owmygrown. Owmygrown now kind of transitioning to a more normal Zerg style, getting Zerg, Banelings, getting the +1 upgrade for his Mutalisk, and he is just going to poke around and harass. Not going to be too effective, though, because Polar does have all his bases covered. Those supply depots probably will actually get picked off.
Right,
and Marines are going to come clean up.
That's going to just be annoying. Losing a couple Mutalisks there, so Polar, of course, scoring against those Mutalisks. owmygrown, of course, taking his third, getting up his drone counts, and again... And +1 weapons is actually a pretty interesting choice there, especially since a lot of Zergs only do that if they really feel comfortable that Terran is not dealing well with anti-air.
Yep, so if we take a look actually at the mini-map, the creep spread for owmygrown is actually really great. He is getting a ton of vision on the map. He will be able to know when Polar moves out. And Polar at this point, I think he's just trying to mass up, and he's just going to go for one big, thrust right into the heart of the Zerg base.
Yeah, at this point, Polar does not indicate he wants to expand again. He stopped making SCVs. Or actually, he's making one more or two more right now, so he's actually making me look stupid.
Yeah.
But he's going for a huge push at this point, just basically waiting for that +1 to finish. And this +1 push will be super strong, especially because I don't believe that owmygrown has any upgrades on his Zerglings or Banelings, so this is actually going to do a lot of damage. But he wants to be careful not to engage on the creep because, of course, the Baneling speed is done, and a lot of damage can be done to those Marines.
Yeah, Polar just has to make this stab right into the heart of the Zerg. Very slow and methodical, almost, very, just kind of like very sadistic kind of push into the Zerg base right now because he wants to make this kill very clean and basically not mess it up because those Banelings could just turn the tide.
Ooh, and a nice attack here into the third of owmygrown. He doesn't want to lose that queen. It looks like a Hellion and Marines are trying to do a little bit of task force recon, but at the same time, owmygrown shuts that down. And I like that Polar set up a stake here on the left side of the map because a lot of times Terrans get too greedy. They push with all their tanks. They don't siege up in time, and Zerg's able to get a full surround.
And it looks like Polar is just going to slowly push up, try to take out the third. We see owmygrown's yellow blob on the mini-map just trying to wait to see the perfect opportunity to engage against Polar, but Polar being very, very, very good on positioning right now. I think owmygrown might just have to just stay calm in the face of danger.
All right, here comes the forces of the Zerg. The Mutalists are leading, but actually he pulls back all the ground units, just picking his time. He's trying to be really patient. He wants to get a good surround, but only a couple of Marines are in the front. Here comes a huge engagement. Banelings are rolling in, but they're not doing anything to the Marines. A bunch of Banelings going against the Marines and tanks, but there's a lot of Marines still left. And there's just only Mutalists left for owmygrown as a couple roaches. That is not going to be enough. Polar is smelling blood. He is pushing into the third at this point, finally expanding for his third base. And this is looking really, really bad for owmygrown. He needs to be able to deal with this force right now.
owmygrown, living up to his name, Ow, my third expansion.
At this point, owmygrown not even making enough Banelings, just making Zerglings. He needs a way to deal with all these Marines. The tanks are finally sieging up, staking their position, and the Mutalists are not going to be effective. As soon as the Marines stim, here come more Banelings, taking out only a couple Marines. Here comes the final push of Polar. If he takes out this second natural base, that will be it. Going after a bunch of Overlords now as well. Even the Queen taking down. And at this point, right now, looks like owmygrown trying to go for a little bit of a counterattack, but looks like he's trying to cut off all the reinforcements here.
Yeah, but looks like Polar will be able to clean up very well. Zergling's trying to do the best they can. But actually, he might actually take out a substantial amount of Marines, but those tanks are now undefended. He does have a little task force at the third base, so he should be able to push up into the main pretty effectively right now. It looks very bad for owmygrown.
Even scanning to get rid of creep tumors, but there are no Marines. They're on the back. Looks like the Mutalists want to get rid of the tanks. If he can get rid of the tanks, he can deal with the Marines pretty easily, but it looks like the Marines are just defending the tanks pretty decently, and overall just pushing back. These are pretty much the last units of owmygrown. He is making some more Zerglings. Now down to his final base. Looks like owmygrown trying to defend with all he has, but Polar's rolling in. Bailey's coming from behind,
but
only attacking.
All on the tank.
And there's the good game. So it looks like Polar will take the series 2-1 and move on to the round of 8.
Those were pretty amazing games for both Polar and owmygrown. Everyone give it up for both players, even though they can't hear you.
That was a pretty exciting push there. Yeah. Definitely the patience of Polar. Ooh, there's a little pop there.
Yeah.
The patience of Polar really paid off. His positioning of the tanks was really good. He defended it, although there was moments where the tanks were exposed, he was able to cover it. And owmygrown, he got it. He did everything he could, but I think Polar just outplayed him.
Yeah, Polar, again, he is the jack of all Terran trades. I'm not sure if he might take this as a compliment or not, but he's one of those players who just embodies what Terran is, you know? Like, he knows how to play the race. He's been playing it since Brood War. He knows when to be patient. He knows when to strike. He's just a really great player. But owmygrown actually showing some pretty great Zerg play there. I mean, any other Zerg would have just melted under the pressure, but he held pretty great. And I think let's try to get Polar for a winner's interview.